to go out with him every Friday night to make sure he doesn't cheat. And I find myself filled with so much anger. We didn't think we could find anything better. I didn't know my value. You'll always be empty, unfulfilled, and unhappy. I knew I was in a relationship I wasn't supposed to be in. But if your answer is nothing but pain, run. Why do you always make fun of me? Behavior doesn't lie. It's okay to let things go. What's in it for me? Today we're going to finally answer the question, how do you know somebody's worth your time? Now, if this sounds interesting to you, lean in and stay till the end. It's Monday, September the 12th, 2024, and I'm in Calgary, Alberta. We're seated at a cafe called the Buttery Block downtown. See, we had a reservation for brunch at another place, but it was a 45 minute wait. So we decided to get espresso while we waited. So we're talking and the conversation goes around to relationships. And we're talking about the price we pay to get our dream relationship. It's me, another girl, and another guy. So I say something along the lines of everybody wants their perfect relationship, but they're not willing to pay the price to get that perfect relationship. So there's a girl we're with at the time. Her name is Maggie. She lives with this guy. She's paying all the bills. He refuses to commit, is always looking for an opportunity to cheat. And in fact, Maggie has to go out with him every Friday night to make sure he doesn't cheat. And I find myself filled with so much anger and so much judgment towards her. How can she be willing to pay such a heavy price to keep a guy like that? It was really triggering for me, you know. See, what I didn't see at that time is I was Maggie 5 to 7 years ago. It wasn't her that I was so mad at. It was that version of me for staying long in a relationship. Then that anger made sense. I still hadn't forgiven myself for staying in that situation. Now, we have a tendency to judge people that are mirror images of us from the past. I mean, why can't they see that they're breaking themselves? Why can't they see that that person is just a taker? How can they let themselves be used? And then we transfer that unforgiveness, that anger, that rage on them, the person that's mirroring a behavior that we don't like. We write them off as weak-willed and delusional. Has that ever happened to you, or is it just me? See, the challenge Maggie or me 5 years ago had is I didn't know my worth. How many of you have been in situations where you've come up feeling used, taken advantage of, taken for granted, maybe lied to, manipulated? Listen, I have so many hours of content. However, I have a limited time today. So let's jump back into what we're supposed to talk today. How do you know somebody's worth your time? So what kept me, Maggie right now, and me, a version of me in the past, in that relationship is 3 things were secretly happening in our minds. We didn't think we could find anything better. We didn't think we deserved anything better, or we didn't even know any better. Or all of those 3 at the same time kept us imprisoned in the reality of a relationship we didn't like or we didn't deserve. So what is your worth? Your worth is not what your mom, your grandmom, or your husband tells you. It is that desire within you for something better. It's that constant reminder at the back of your mind that drives you to crave more. It's a soul stirring that you get on the inside that tells you, you're not crazy. You deserve better. It's the expression of those values that are most important to you. To some people, it's monogamy. To others, it's family. To others, it's ambition. That anger that showed up to sit with me at the cafe, at the Buttery Block downtown, when we talked about paying the price for a relationship of our dreams, was from an unhealed old wound. See, I had not forgiven myself for not knowing, for not acknowledging. Maggie didn't know her value. I didn't know my value. So we paid the price. We put our dreams, our values on the line for a friendship, for a relationship that was not pouring into us. Why is it so important to know and understand and calculate your worth? Because without knowing your worth, you'll always be empty, unfulfilled, and unhappy. Now, I know some of you want to go a little bit deeper on that journey from unfulfilled and lonely to confident and whole. So there's a link in my bio. Go ahead and click it. At the time I'm making this video, I'm still doing some free coaching sessions. So see if you can get into it. But now, we only have a few minutes left, so let's jump back into it. Life has a way of reminding us of things to be grateful for. I'm so blown away that I'm even able to talk about calculating your worth. It's 2 years ago when I was broken, confused, depressed, because I knew I was in a relationship I wasn't supposed to be in. I had to be my first cheerleader, my first friend, and my first coach. So we've talked about what worth is and why we need to be able to calculate it or know it. But now we're going to go over the 5 words that can help you increase your value and know if somebody is worth your time. What's in it for me? If your answer is I don't know, you lack clarity and you need to go over your values and goals. We'll talk about that more in my video called Finding the Balance. But if your answer is nothing but pain, run. Later on today, I'm going to tell you a story of how I put those 5 words into action and how I use them to decide who is worth my time and my loyalty. Get the facts on your value. What are the facts? They can lie all they want to, but behavior doesn't lie. Get to know the facts about your value. Let's not make excuses for other people's actions anymore. So how do you get the facts of your value? To do this, we're going to answer the question, what's the hardest part for you about trusting somebody? Now it's summer 2023 and I'm in Vancouver, Canada, enrolled in a master's in psychotherapy. To save money, we live as a group of girls. Now everybody was busy with school and work and have monthly potlucks to make sure we're still in touch. So we get an Airbnb once a month and we stay in touch. Now we've heated up the food, we're sitting down, we're beginning to talk and eat. And you know what happens when you're with a group of people? You pass the food, pass the wine, and you're all enjoying, you're having a good time. This time was different. I didn't know hell was about to break loose. So here I am passing the wine to one of the girls and she just loses it. You always do this. Why do you always make fun of me? Now I'm shocked. Did I do something wrong? Everybody's quiet and just watching her. She went ahead to storm out and go to the other room. Now I'm still in shock. I'm like, is this a prank? A couple of girls sat with her trying to convince her to come back to the party. Now I use girls lightly because 6 out of 7 of our group were above the age of 40. So see, at that time, I had never seen an irate, inconsolable person up close and personal. So I cannot even begin to tell you how embarrassed and ashamed I was. I felt blindsided. In that moment, the only question that clearly rang out was, how did it get to this? How did we get here? What did I miss? Because clearly, something is missing. See, what I'd failed to acknowledge is one principle. No matter what, when, or where, everybody has a right to their beliefs. So to process any situation is to acknowledge and accept them without judgment, without need to take responsibility for another person's actions. And the purpose of all this is to avoid emotional distress through respect. Now, we have a tendency to get stuck in our pain, our role as the victim. I mean, how could they? They should not have done that. They should have known better, because it gives us some power, the power not to take ownership. Have you ever just wanted to go back in time and redo a confrontation and take back your power, or is it just me? Now, I don't want us to get off track because I could go on for hours. If you want to go into the details of reframing the past, we can do that at a later time. But right now, let's talk about the 3 Ps: the principle, the process, and the power. These have gotten me out of unnecessary emotional turmoil in the last 2 years. Now, the principle: everybody has a right to their own values. The process: acknowledge the difference without judgment. Now, the purpose of this is to reduce emotional upset by embracing diversity. Some people are not your people. I love these 3 Ps because it exposes a radical level of emotional intelligence superior to anything I'm seeing on social media. Just because you don't agree with someone, it doesn't mean you have to go to war with them over it. It shows you somebody who's actually going to pick the relationship that you need, that you want, that you value over winning every battle. At the point when she had her outburst, something broke between me and her. The trust was broken by one simple action. What's the difference between truth and trust? I believe that everyone's version of the truth is affected by how they've experienced the world, childhood included. So truth is very perspective driven. Remember how we talked about how loyalty is different for people, love is different from people, monogamy is different for people. However, I believe trust is driven by values. You remember that question from before? What's in it for me? I'll use it right here. What was most important for me in that moment when the trust was broken was communication. Communication, I see, is a form of respect and loyalty. The other thing is behavior doesn't lie. And tomorrow we're going to talk about what's in it for me applied to a repair stage in Pass the Wine Part 2. But are you really seeing how those 5 words, what's in this for me, can save you time and emotional distress? So how can you be a maximizer of trust-based relationships? How can you only attract relationships where your values match their actions? This means by not being swayed by, what people are saying, their version of the truth. If it doesn't match your values, it's okay to let things go. Now let's answer the question, what's the hardest part about trusting somebody? I think the hardest part about trusting somebody is letting go of the expectations. Think about it. What hurts the most about heartbreak is what could have been. It's the hope, the possibility that it could have gone differently. So trust would be so much easier if you're selfish enough to look for actions that match the words. Then you can know how to trust with ease. If this video has been helpful to you, subscribe for more. My name is Coach Rachel, and I can't wait to connect with you again. Bye.